Today I came in with a bit of a goal. I wanted to really get back to the pull-ups. So I'm trying to do pull-ups every other day. Do 2 lots of, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I don't even know what, how you call them, ladder sets or whatever. So I like to do them in 2 lots, purely because once you do 1 lot, you're pretty much exhausted and you have to kind of wait for the pump in your body to go away before you can put in a lot, more work again. And I've spoken about this in the past, how people think that they're done, but you're really not done. You just have a pump, and that pump restricts blood flow, impedes nerves and all sorts of stuff. Like, pumps feel great and all that, but they really basically cause an end to your performance, which is all well and good. But if you give it a bit of a rest and let all that dissipate, you can go back to basically 80-90% of what you did before. So that's what I did today. Came in, did deadlifts, did my 10, 9, 8, 7 all the way to 1 pull-ups, body weight, did some squatting. So I worked up to whatever weight I did, 160 today. And then after that, I went over and I did some more pull-ups. And that was basically the session today. And yes, the second lot of pull-ups were a little bit harder, obviously, but I still managed to hit 10, 9, 8, 7 all the way to 1. So that's 110 pull-ups in 1 session that lasted probably something like 2 hours or something like that. So I came in with that kind of plan, and it kind of worked out, but the deadlifting started feeling a bit wonky. I started feeling my right adductor. For some of you guys, you will know that I've had hip pain on and off for a very long time, like 4 or 5 years probably. The more energy I put into squatting, the kind of more of a right hip problem I developed. And I knew for a very long time that it wasn't anything skeletal, that it was most likely a muscular thing, because certain exercises would help it. Backing off from squats, doing a lot more deadlifting would definitely help it. Today I came in, I started feeling my right adductor in the deadlifts. It wasn't kind of feeling all that good. So in between the deadlift sets, I was doing a lot of stretching. So basically just side split kind of stretching, standing, bending over, just, spreading my legs apart, trying to hit that adductor complex. And it kind of felt all right, but then when I went to the squatting, I started really feeling them even with an empty bar. I just felt it, like, especially when the knee and the hip are kind of at the 90-degree, that's kind of the worst position for me. It's that typical hip pain scenario that I've had on and off for many, many years now, it seems. And over the years, I've kind of worked out what helps it and what doesn't. So that's kind of been a thorn in my backside, really, when it comes to squatting, because I really know, and I really feel deep down in my soul that if I just throw enough volume, I will get stronger. But then there's this cap, there's this ceiling to how much volume I can tolerate because of this hip pain. And so I thought it was the hamstring, I thought it was the TFL, I thought it was all these different things. Today, maybe I haven't spoken to you guys about this in the past, but today I made a connection. And I've known about the adductor. So this is the thing. I feel the source of my right hip pain, which kind of exhibits itself in the TFL region. So literally, you take a finger, you push in there, and you kind of feel sore, right? One day at work, I was standing talking to somebody, and I just leaned against this table, basically like a normal office desk table. And the way I kind of sat down at the corner of that table, I sat down in such a way that it hit kind of like that upper adductor glute kind of hamstring tine. And that position, I was having lots of pain. This is like months and months ago, probably even a year ago now. It hit me so hard that pain got referred straight to my right hip. And that was the first onset of me thinking, Jesus, maybe this is referred pain. Maybe it's got nothing to do with TFL. Maybe it's got nothing to do with hip internal rotation being absolutely spent from doing all this squatting. This was the first, something's gone on there. And I've experimented on and off, and I've spoken about this on and off throughout all the videos. Not all the videos, but when it kind of popped out in my head. Today, I started getting that adductor sensation that it's kind of tight and I can't get into the position. And the squatting, I started feeling that TFL kind of flare up. Started massaging, started stretching, as I was saying. And then I just started doing the standing split kind of stretch, feet apart. And then for some reason, whatever reason, I started doing Cossack squats. Okay, you guys know, if you don't know what Cossack squats is, you'll see an example of it. I think I did I think I actually did one clip today of it. It helped me. It really hit the adductors, and with that adductor stretch plus contraction workout, the hip pain disappeared instantly. So what do we know? So what do I know so far about adductors and hip pain? If I put everything together, I know that if you are doing ATG squatting, ass to grass squatting, full depth squatting, and if you do it in a manner like I do it, it's gonna heavily rely on the adductors to get you out of that hole and, I don't know, up around, parallel. The adductors have a lot to do with getting you out of the hole. Once you get to that parallel, then hamstrings, glutes, quads start getting into the picture a lot more. More so the quads and the glutes, right? But when you are lower than parallel, the adductors have a better mechanical advantage to hip extend. Far more the glutes or the hamstrings. They're just ineffective in that position, whereas the adductors are much more biomechanically positioned, leveraged in such a way that they can exert force in your body. So below parallel, it's all adductors. What do I do all the time? I squat ATG all the time. And for a very long time, I would work up to a training max. So it makes sense that my adductors were getting really tight, really sore. What stumped me is that the hip pain wasn't in the adductors. It was being referred somewhere else in the right hip. And so things like sitting in a car, especially my Evo, right, with the bucket seats, forcing you to have basically you can't splay your knees out. You have to kind of have, you're in a bucket seat, right? So your femurs are basically parallel sitting as you're driving, right? That would really flare up because those adductors would just tighten up even further, and then, right, hip pain flares up. Today, when I was doing the Cossack squats, it was like a great stretch and a strength, and it just started releasing, and it was a great feeling. I have played around with Cossack squats in the past, but this is how it is, man. Like you go through certain things, you go through your journey, and each time I'll call it, you walk around the block, right? And you might trip over the truth 50 times before you realize this is actually might be the truth. I got to pay attention to this. But each time you kind of walk over and go around the block of this knowledge and experience that I kind of use as a metaphor, you learn something. And so Cossack squats to me mean a lot more than they meant 2 years ago, because I have more information right now. I have more data sets in my mind. I have more experience. And so today, as I was doing the Cossack squats, I was like, man, this is amazing for my hips. Now, in recent times, my hips have felt amazing. No hip pain or whatever, nothing. It's been great. Today, I started feeling my adductors a bit more. Maybe because I've recently did a bit of like sumo, and maybe they've been getting taxed a little bit more, blah, 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 blah. Maybe, and this is what I think is also the reason why high reps feel good for me and my hips, predominantly my right hip. It's because high reps is low tension and high reps, right? So you're doing a lot of blood, and it kind of makes you feel a little bit better. But Cossack squats, man, this could be the new go-to movement for me when I develop hip pain, which was interesting. And so today my workout started off a bit gingerly. I still got my pull-ups in, and that was kind of the plan for the whole day. But I kind of got stumped by this experience again. Oh my God, here we go, hip pain again, right? And I know what I need to do, right? So say, today was really bad hip pain. Tomorrow I just do something, lots of volume in some sort of pulling motion, RDL, good morning, deadlift off the floor, deficit, deadlift. It doesn't really matter. I do that, and all of a sudden it goes away. And as you guys know, I've discovered this as well. In recent video, I kind of made a whole video about adductors. They do a lot, man. They contribute to hip flexion, hip extension, internal rotation, external rotation, do a lot. Like these adductors are involved in basically all of your movements of your lower body. It's like a very important muscle group. They do all of that, and then they also obviously hip adduct. Bring your knees together, if you will. So they're very, very important. So a lot of people don't think about them until there's a problem, right? And for me, I've had a really good stretch recently, but today it was kind of like, oh, okay, my deadlifts are kind of feeling weak, okay, in last few months. And now I'm starting to feel pain in my adductors. Initially, I thought it was a hamstring, but it was definitely adductor towards the end. Started doing Cossack squats, and I was like, wow, okay. So this is the first movement that I've done that is not a hip hinging movement, and it's helping my hip pain, which is interesting. So right now on top of my list for go-to treatment for hip pain is the Cossack squats. A few of you fellas have also said to me, Ivan, I've got this hip pain. I don't know exactly what's causing your hip pain, but try Cossack squats. You might be experiencing the same thing as me. The adductors are pissed off. For whatever reason, the adductors are pissed off. And I've said to many people in the past, squatting is one of those things, man. Like it's frustrating as hell for me, but doing more squatting doesn't necessarily make you better at squatting, right? It's almost ironic, but the act of squatting a lot of weight and for a lot of volume tightens your body in such a way, i.e. adductors, and you lose certain internal hip rotation or external, doesn't really, depends how you squat. And then as you progress, you might be getting stronger from all this volume and all this intensity that you're doing, but you're getting less and less mobility because some of these structures are being targeted more so than others. For example, if you're hitting ATG all the time, your adductors are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. If you overuse them, they get tighter and tighter. All of a sudden, you start losing internal hip rotation. All of a sudden, you develop a hip pain, right? So you need to have auxiliary kind of movements to address some of these deficiencies that squatting brings. And we all know that freaking squatting is the best exercise in the world, right? To me, right? Yeah, definitely. You guys know how much I love the deadlift, but I think the squat is the king because it has acute angles in the knee and the hip and the ankle, right? Whereas with the deadlifts, depends who you are and your proportions, really the only joint that's really getting taxed is the hip. That's where you get kind of acute angle in the hip. The knee is relatively, it's bending, but it's not to the same degree as an ATG squat. That's why I think the squats are the king. But even the king needs assistance. Even the king needs those peasants in the field. Even the king needs the archers. Even the king needs all sorts of support to win a battle. You can't do it on your own. And that's kind of what I've realized. One of the biggest lessons that I've kind of gotten out of this squat everyday business is that my initial hope, my initial assumption that all you really need to do is squat and everything else will get stronger. As Mark Ripperto said back in the day, a stronger body is harder to kill, and squatting is one of the best movements. Therefore, squatting is going to make you harder to kill and just be more resilient and everything. Like if your squat goes up, everything is going to go up, right? You're going to get stronger everywhere else because it's such a holistic movement. Everything's being used, man, to such a great extent, such a big range of motion. But you need auxiliary troops. And one of these auxiliary troops, I really feel, are the Cossack squats. In the past, like I said, it's been the pulling motion, the hip hinging motions like RDLs, deadlifts, good mornings, anything of that nature has kind of been at the top of my list for, okay, these are the symptoms that I'm getting today, go for there. But the Cossack squats, man, like, damn, they're making me think, man. They're really making me think of what's really going on here. So if you're experiencing hip pain, try Cossack squats along all the other times I've said to you guys, hip hinge. This could be another very powerful tool in the shed. And like I always say to you guys, I had expectations of what I wanted to do today. Something happened. There was a different vital sign that I was experiencing from the body, and I had to address it. And with experience, with enough knowledge, I was able to pick the right tool for the job, and I was still able to, deadlift quite a lot of weight, and still I was able to hit 160 on the front squat. Whereas me 2 years ago, I would, get pissed off, frustrated, and still push through the pain and then develop really bad hip pain. But now I've been around the block a few times. I've stepped over the truth a few times, and I've picked up a few of those pieces of the truth. And I kind of know some things that work. And at every chance I get, I try to, forward that opinion, forward that experience to you guys. Someone out there might be experiencing the same stuff, and this video might help. And that to me justifies the whole video and the whole existence of my YouTube channel. If someone's out there getting something out of this, man, then freaking hell, man, I'll go to bed quite happy. I've got two fellas to name in this video. I've got Billy Dyer. I don't know why, man. I always say this, but the way the app that I use covers half of the screen when I'm doing this voiceover, I can never see the names on the screen, and I've forgotten to write it down on a piece of paper. But Billy Dyer is one, and Ledi Villa, Ledi Villa, something like that. I apologize if I butchered either your names. 2 names fresh on the list, 2 more supporters. Fellas, I appreciate you. Really means a lot to have the support that I do. I mean, now filling up the 5th page of names on Patreon, which is incredible to me, and just really puts even more wind into my sails to make videos like this where I can kind of give back and you know, if I don't have the answer, I at least want to spark the thought for somebody in the comments to give us an answer. And that's the power of community. And you know, I make these videos, but a lot of the times, guys, like I've said this in the past, I strike, you know, I spark somebody's thought, they leave a comment, and I actually learn from that comment. So it's like a win-win for everyone, man. It's amazing. Speaking of the comments, I appreciate all of you guys that contribute in the comments, and obviously on Instagram, DMs and comments there as well. It's a kick-ass community. I'm happy to be part of it and contribute each day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.